Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Gourmet Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. A little surprise show for you guys and gals this morning. Everybody probably still asleep. This is pretty early. Had a few minutes here dealing with some rain and obviously getting in town a little late last night. I just want to say thank you to everybody who reached out. Obviously, we didn't do a live stream last night. We had a death in the family, and man, the outpouring was it was humbling of everyone who reached out and sending their condolences and all that. Obviously, anytime anybody loses a family member, it's tough. But man, you guys and gals have been absolutely awesome. So I just want to say thank you for that, and going to try to get caught up on some content. Obviously, we had some stuff happen yesterday, just reacting to some of the national media geared around the Green Bay Packers as hype continues to build with the addition of Micah Parsons. So today we're going to talk about Dan Orlovsky actually picking Jordan Love to win the NFL MVP this year. And I thought that was very, very interesting. You guys know ESPN is usually pretty darn critical of the Green Bay Packers. So we're going to dive into the MVP odds a little bit. Listen, I'm not saying the MVP is important. I'm not saying it's obviously the ultimate goal is to win a championship, right? To win a Super Bowl. However, when you hear your quarterback being consistently mentioned in the MVP race after adding one of the most important defensive pieces since the Reggie White days in Micah Parsons, sky's the limit for this Green Bay Packer team as a whole. So excited to dive into all that. Before we do, if you guys would do that YouTube stuff for me, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your morning. Listen, we're not experts here. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We are fans just like you, talking Packers on the daily, doing pregame shows, postgame shows, film analysis, breaking down the tape, all that good stuff. So if you're looking for that type of content, this is the place for you. Make sure you hit subscribe and click that bell icon so you're notified every time we do go live here in the future. So let's dive into it, man. Let's talk a little Dan Orlovsky commenting, making a statement that Jordan Love is his pick for MVP candidate. This was really, really interesting. Let's dive into it.
Expectation for Jordan Love this year?
I've picked Jordan Love to win MVP this year.
Oh,
if you
so you won't be surprised.
No, I that's the MVP pick that I have. I just think Green Bay's absolutely loaded offensively, and if he can stay healthy, the way that Matt LaFleur's kind of figured out how to run that offense with him, they can throw the ball downfield. They can get the completions underneath. You can utilize the screen game. This is an offensive line that's very good. If Matthew Golden is what Matthew Golden is expected to be, this offense can shred you vertically, horizontally, schematically, and just honestly, with the addition of Micah, I would just be like, yo, we're the most aggressive quarterback in football this year.
Let me show you the odds, because Joe Fortenbaugh, when he was here on Friday, said the bet to make coming off of the acquisition of Parsons was not the Packers to win the Super Bowl, because the odds on that plummeted, but they're on Jordan Love to win.
So there you go. As they said, the best odds, or the best bet coming off the Micah Parsons trade, as they had mentioned there. Actually, let me drop this down so you can see this graphic. Really, really interesting here. And again, you can check all this information out over in our Patreon group. We try to put everything together there. I'm going to get back to this graphic. So you see Jordan Love odds to win MVP, odds by ESPN Bet Sportsbook, 14-1, sixth best among all players. Now, you're going to see some other graphics here in this Patreon write-up that we did. Let me kick this over so y'all get a little bit better grab on it. This was the regular season MVP odds earlier were 25-1. Okay, so obviously with the addition of Micah Parsons, books are kind of shuffling around both the win-loss total for the Packers. Now you're seeing the MVP race. It kind of trickle into that effect. But the 2025 NFL regular season MVP odds, looked it up just a second ago, unless it's updated in real time here recently, they had Lamar Jackson plus 450, right? Was this last year? This may have been last year. Hold up a second. So has it really shifted all the way to 14-1? This is breaking news here. Obviously, like I said, we got into town kind of late last night. I got to see if this really did change, because this might be, when they say 2025, obviously the award handed out in 2025, maybe 2026 is the actual date they're trying to attach to this. So this is why it helps to have people in here with me when we do go live in real time. But let me know in the chat what you guys think as I'm looking this up. I just want to make sure we're getting the most recent. Yeah, August 15th. I think I've got the most recent number. So this is showing correct here, what we've got on the screen. So I think it was someone else, another media member on ESPN, that had said 14-1. But nonetheless, when you look at it here, they've got Lamar Jackson plus 450, Joe Burrow plus 600, Patrick Mahomes plus 650, Josh Allen plus 650, Jaden Daniels plus 750. And then you're going Jalen Hurts 16-1, Justin Herbert 18-1, and then Jordan Love 25-1. Isn't it amazing how some people across the NFL fandom think that Jordan Love is just a bum? Oh, he's just another guy y'all overpaid for. And when you put on the tape, you see the elite arm talent from time to time, right? It's just about putting it together consistently. The most consistently we've seen it was in the back half of 2023. We're in the last 9 games of the season, guys. There's no hands down. He was the best quarterback in the entire league those last 9 games. And he was on a run in terms of touchdown to interception ratio efficiency that he was actually tracking better numbers than Aaron Rodgers' MVP years, his best MVP year, which is crazy to think about because I think he threw 2 interceptions in the back half of that season. If you put that together for a full season, you're talking about a 4 interception season with over 40 touchdown passes thrown. That's what you're looking for. So you're probably asking yourself, well, Clayton, what happened last year? Why did the numbers seem to dip? Guys, I know some people want to downplay the fact that Jordan Love was hurt. Oh, well, no, was he really hurt? He didn't look hurt. You can see the knee injury take place in week 1. You can see him battle back from the knee injury. You can see him play with a brace. There's literally footage. While we had other fan bases saying he's not hurt, this is just another coping mechanism for the Packer fans, you could see him throwing on the run. And as he drives off his left leg, lets it go, and then puts the weight on his right leg, he literally collapses on the field and lands on his throwing shoulder. Like you've seen that time and time again throughout the season. The knee was an issue. There's no 2 ways about that. So anyone who pretends like, oh, hey, look, the knee injury wasn't an issue for Jordan Love, it didn't play a factor. Then you have him hitting his elbow later in the season on a helmet, I believe it was, and doing a little bit of I don't want to say damage, but affecting the nerve to where he had numbness in his throwing thumb. Like there was a number of different things that came into play. He ended up having the groin injury from wearing the brace on the knee. Whether it was the opposite leg or the same leg makes no difference. You're transferring balance. You're transferring weight into different parts of the body that you're not used to. He ends up tweaking the groin early in the year as well. He was banged up all year long. So when you look at his PFF grades, this is what's crazy. Even though he was battling those injuries throughout the season, I mean, if we go week by week, you're going 64, 69, 44, 72, 72, 74, 68, 73, 63, 77 against Detroit on the road, 83.8, 66, 68, 72, 61. So his grade at the end of the year finished off, if I remember correctly, at a 77.7, right? So you're talking about a quarterback who is his second year starting and had the youngest team in the entire NFL around him, which is going to have that again this year. You also have a receiving core that was, I don't feel comfortable saying they led the league in drops. It depends on which website you look on at the metrics and everything. He was definitely in the top 3 most drops in terms of receivers last year. And you still grade out this well. You still put up gaudy numbers and you still lead your team to an 11-win season. Some people look at it as if the Packers took a step back last year. Because they've won 10 games the year before. You win 11 last year. And I understand Malik Willis played a role in that as well. But if anything, it should give you more confidence in Jordan Love, knowing that he's going to be fully healthy. And look what Matt LaFleur was able to do with a backup quarterback, which, by the way, this is the other thing. It's easy for folks to write off the Malik Willis trade for the 7th round pick, right? Some people look at that and they say, well, that's just the Titans being stupid. They were willing to give him up for a 7th round pick. And then all of a sudden he becomes this game changer in Green Bay, right? Guys, the reality is there were no other teams, to the best of my knowledge, across the entire league that was willing to give up a 6th round pick for Malik Willis. That's why we were able to get him for a 7th round pick. So this idea that Malik Willis is an absolute game changer, I think it's more on the plate of Matt LaFleur. And you're probably going, Clayton, what's that got to do with Jordan Love? It's got everything to do with Jordan Love because if Matt LaFleur is able to do that with a player that no one else in the league was willing to give up a 6th-round pick for, and then he goes out and does this with Jordan Love, who's banged up all year long and still grades out a 77.7, while the receiving core was in the top 3 in drops, you can see the stars kind of lining with what Dan Orlovsky's saying there on Get Up on ESPN. So when you look at the season grades as a career, obviously in 2021, he only had 70 dropbacks, 36.2, throw it out the window. In 2022, only 21 dropbacks, 78.7, throw it out the window. Let's start in 2023, an 83.0 with an 82.7 passing grade. That's not normal, gang. That was on 633 dropbacks. Last year, he had 456 dropbacks. His offensive grade ends up being a 77.7 with a 76.6 passing grade, while battling the knee injury, while battling the groin injury, while battling the nerve issue in his throwing arm. And again, if anybody's concerned about that, there's no long-term effects to that, what he sustained there with the elbow injury, with the nerve injury, right? It was almost like a funny bone type thing that, it, to the best of my knowledge, trickled into a couple of weeks because it took that nerve, it took that elbow a little bit of time to heal, and he just played through it. So again, do your own research on that, on whether or not that's a significant injury or not. Nonetheless, you have numbness in your throwing hand, whether it's partial, fully, whatever. Good luck throwing a football and doing it effectively. This guy battled through it. So moving on, the other thing that Dan Orlovsky talked about, and you guys know I disagreed with what Dan said the other day when he was talking about, the Green Bay Packers need to be extra aggressive this year. They need to go out and just be aggressive now that they've got Micah Parsons and this defense is completely stout. I disagreed with that because it's like the last thing you need to be is careless with the football. In my opinion, I think Jordan Love got himself into some tough situations last year because he couldn't be mobile enough. So when you're talking about MVP odds, as we seen last year with Josh Allen, the quarterback having the ability to scramble a little bit, in Josh Allen's case, a lot, same thing with Lamar Jackson, that can increase your odds for MVP. If you tack on an extra, 3 to 5 rushing touchdowns for Jordan Love on top of what he's capable of doing with the passing game and with Matt LaFleur at the play calling helm, that's where you're really getting into MVP territory. Now I'm not saying that Jordan Love should play like Josh Allen. He's not Josh Allen. Don't take that the wrong way. Josh Allen is a powerful runner, right? But what we seen in 2023 was Jordan Love pull that ball down and be willing to keep the defense honest, right? When he's, with his scrambling ability. He's not going to run the football like Jalen Hurts. He's not going to run the football like Josh Allen. I do see him using his legs more to create secondary windows and more explosive plays down the field, kind of like Pat Mahomes does. And some of the great, hell, even Matt Stafford, when he's healthy, when he's not dealing with the back issues, he's another player that can make a guy miss in the backfield, create the secondary throw. He's done that his entire career. We've seen it in Detroit. He just had a sucky team completely, around him the entire time. So with that being said, that's kind of how I see this offense taking another step. I don't want them to be overly aggressive. And the reason being is because we were already aggressive. I put this tweet out last year. I can't remember what the date was on this tweet. Actually June 28th. So June 28th, earlier this year, Jordan Love led the NFL in completions with 20 plus air yards or more, right? He finished with 24, while Joe Burrow, who was the NFL passing yards leader, only had 20. Here's each one of those throws. You can find that on my X. I don't want to play it on here for copyright purposes, but go check out that video. You can just go to my profile, search Jordan Love led, and it'll probably pop up right off the bat. But you can see all of those throws as well. And again, that's the beautiful thing about NFL Plus, NFL Pro. You can pull this stuff in real time. It's so easy to get to each of these additional statistics analytics here. We got Rob Westerman. Everybody in the chat, thank y'all so much for jumping in. Appreciate you on such short notice. I created the stream 5 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. I said, you know what? I got a few extra minutes before we get the work day started. Let's get in here and talk a little ball. Rob, good to see you, buddy. Hopefully you're doing well, my man. Morning, brother. Clean up the drops. Jordan should be able to get some big plays outside of the pocket this year since he's healthy, and improved offensive line. The stars are aligned. I didn't even talk about that, right, Rob? Didn't even talk about the offensive line, the fact that you go out and get Aaron Banks, you draft Anthony Belton. Whether you think those guys are going to pan out or not, I'm going to trust Goody. And if someone thinks, oh, no, that's a swing and a miss on Aaron Banks, that's a swing and a miss on Belton, hey, I can respect your opinion. You may be right. But the fact that Goody was willing to basically give a 2-year commitment to Aaron Banks on a 4-year deal to say, let's shore up left guard while we kick Elton Jenkins to center. Essentially what you've got, guys, is we are 2 offensive linemen deeper than we were last year from a starting caliber standpoint. Because last year you started off rotating Jordan Morgan and Sean Ryan, if you'll remember, right? The only thing that we lost, and that was at right guard, the only thing we lost was Josh Myers. So you lose Josh Myers and you pick up Aaron Banks and you draft Anthony Belton. Well, if Anthony Belton ain't ready till the second half of the season where he can clean up the penalties we've seen in the preseason, heck, even getting him in the second half of the season, now you're too deep at offensive line from a starting standpoint, and you're in a lot better shape. I think that's a great point there, Rob. I really do, man. So again, I'm excited to see what Jordan does. And the point here was we were already aggressive, guys. Jordan Love, essentially three fewer games, right? He didn't play in 3 games. He didn't start in 2, and he left early because of the groin injury, I believe, in Jacksonville, if my memory's serving me correctly. So you're going to see that improve even more with the deep throws in terms of the just the overall statistics. I have a hard time believing if he had played 3 extra games last year, you wouldn't have seen him with even more passing yards in terms of throws with 20 plus air yards or more. So that my point to what Dan Orlovsky said earlier this week is you don't need to be more aggressive. Keep doing what you're doing. Now you got a healthy quarterback, like Rob said in the chat. Now you got a little bit better offensive line. Now you've got Matthew Golden, right? Listen, Matthew Golden could be a bust. Nobody knows until the real bullets start flying. But what we've seen so far, dude looks legit. And if you guys have seen the depth chart release, he is listed as a starter. Now, if you're one of those folks, like I've been in that camp too, the unofficial depth chart, Matt LaFleur has went on the record and said, I have nothing to do with those depth charts. They don't come to me and go, hey, they may come to him, but he's not going to answer them. So that's kind of projected within the Packers organization of what they think the depth chart is going to be. However, when you go over to our lads and things like that, they have Matthew Golden listed as a starter. So everything we've seen in camp, everything we've seen at rookie mini camp, everything we've seen at OTAs, everything we've seen at training camp, everything we've seen in the preseason, Matthew Golden looks like a dude at Z. So you now have speed at Z while Christian Watson gets healthy. You've got Romeo Doubs working the X with Wicks probably coming off the bench there. You've got Jaden Reed, our leading receiver the last 2 years in both receiving yards and touchdowns, working the F, working the slot with Wicks bleeding into that as well. You'll probably see a little bit of Golden bleed into that too when they want to go with cheat to stack motion within this Matt LaFleur offense. You throw in the fact that Tucker Kraft, there's still people sleeping on Tucker Kraft. Listen, I'm not saying Tucker Kraft is the best tight end in the league. I'm not saying that he's top 5 right now. I'm saying what he put on tape last year, what he did statistically, if he had got the same amount of targets, this is a fact. This isn't my opinion. If Tucker Kraft had got the same amount of targets as Brock Bowers, he would have led the league in receiving yards instead of Brock Bowers. That's a reality. That's if you work out the numbers and give him the same amount of targets that Brock Bowers got. So with that being said, do I want Tucker Kraft to get the same amount of targets as Brock Bowers? Absolutely not. Just like I don't want Matthew Golden to be our number 1 receiver. I want Matt LaFleur to just press in a little bit deeper into the details of what he does with this offense, and that's going to open up things down the field. That's just my personal opinion. So, again, we haven't even talked about Josh Jacobs. Lean on Josh Jacobs. The goal isn't for Jordan Love to win MVP. I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way. The goal isn't for Jordan Love to win MVP. The goal is for the Packers to win the damn Super Bowl, period, case closed. So if that means Jordan Love winning MVP and Micah Parsons winning Defensive Player of the Year, then so be it. That's awesome news. But the fact that the national media is now identifying Jordan Love as, hey, this dude here is my pick to win MVP, when we're seeing it's anywhere from 25-1 to 14-1 odds, is a great sign that the Packers are trending in the right direction. Not just on defense because of the addition of Micah Parsons, but on offense because of Jordan Love and these young weapons. It's going to be exciting, man. And guys, we're just a few days away from game day. It's Wednesday, so we're going to get the injury report later on today at practice. I believe we'll get our first injury report. We'll see how everybody's healing up. Hopefully Elton Jenkins is good to go. We're hoping that straightens itself out. If he isn't good to go, though, I'm not overly concerned. Your biggest threat when it comes to the interior defensive line of the Detroit Lions, 2 people. DJ Reader, and then you've got rookie Tyleik Williams, if I remember correctly, that's his name, from I may have the last name misrepresented there, from Ohio State. You guys know we had a first-round grade on him. He was first-round talent in our board. He's more of a nose tackle, than a 3 tech, but just know they're banged up in the middle. To me, that's a recipe for duo all day long, run right at these backers. And now that Jordan Love's healthy, under center, play action off of that. And you can take advantage of trying to get those backers pulled up, stay away from the safeties, be aware they got one of the best, if not the best, safety tandems in all of football. So going to be exciting, man. I'm fired up for the season opener. Nothing like a little shadow casting across Lambeau Field for a 3:25 Central kickoff. You got Jim Nance and Tony Romo on the call, and we're just a few short days away from it. So we'll be giving you guys all the latest information up to date as we go through the week. We'll be back tonight, 6:30 p.m. Central Time for PTA Live. I'm so excited to be back for that. Miss the guys, miss talking balls with the guys. So really, really fired up to hang out with you guys and gals in here this evening. But do me a favor, do that YouTube stuff when we hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you for hanging out with us this morning. Make sure you click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. And again, thank you guys so much for the outpouring of support and obviously the prayers and thoughts and everything on the loss that we had in our family. So we'll see y'all tonight. Like I said, 6:30. This is PTA. My name's Clayton. Go Pack, go.
Here we go. We're out.
Bye, guys.